Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. God bless you, as Christ is the reason for this season as we celebrate. And I just want to give a shout out to my fellow veterans. I pray all is going well with you, and let's see what we can do in this year to come. I have back with us Marv Sandbek, a dear friend of mine, and we're chatting a little bit about previous years and some things we can look forward to. So stay tuned. God bless you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot me a message, facebook.com/Operation Purpose. And let's chat. Have a great day.
Welcome to Operation Purpose. This is your host, John C. Hansen.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you again to Operation Purpose here on our podcast. And I have back again Marv Sandbek, my mentor and just a dear family friend of ours. And he has himself positioned down in the wonderful state of Oklahoma, and I'm here up in Kansas City. But we wanted to do a little Christmas, I guess, episode, just a real quick chit chat about, what we've done in the past. You have vets that are coming out this time of year. Suicide rate is typically at an all-time high through the year over the holiday seasons because it can be a challenging time. So we just wanted to reach out and talk a little bit about, maybe our personal experience, what we've had to go through, what we've done and not done. So Marv, great to have you back.
Great to be here, John. Thanks for the invite. And Merry Christmas Eve Day.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
The year that was.
Oh boy, how many people are ready to be done with this?
I'll put this one in the ditch.
Oh my goodness. So, and it was supposed to be such a great year, 2020. I mean, it's just got a ring to it. So, and there's a new ring. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't a very big ring. It was more of a clamor.
Yeah.
Clang.
Yeah.
But here we are.
It was painful.
Wow. You bring up a really terrific viewpoint about veterans and Christmas, or just veterans and some holidays. Things are different. They're so different. And I want to go down memory lane a little bit and talk about our days growing up in Minnesota and the traditional family Christmases. Maybe they're at the kids program at Zion Lutheran Church, and the clamor and the fight over who was going to be Joseph and who was going to be Mary, and always looking around for somebody to be the donkey, right?
Yeah, and that was probably me, but
wow.
No, I think I was usually a shepherd.
Yeah, you were a shepherd, I think, and I remember Alan was generally Joseph for some reason or other, your neighbor there.
Yeah.
And we all took our turns, and I don't think I ever got elevated to anything beyond the barn animals, so I was pretty much just a manger critter.
No.
That's okay.
But
I'd like to draw almost from a clinical perspective. I'm certainly not a clinician or a therapist, but been in therapy for many years with the PTSD issues.
Sure. So
I want to draw somewhere along the way in the program today the line between Christmases prior to Vietnam, prior to getting broken a little bit, and then what happened after.
Sure.
So it's almost like a Christmas carol. We're going to talk about maybe Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future a little bit, maybe. Who knows? But Christmases past. Boy, didn't we have some beauty up there.
Oh my goodness. So for those listeners, that may not have known or been up to speed, I've known Marv, or he's known me my whole life growing up. He retired from the United States Air Force in 1988, and I kind of entered the Air Force in 91. I retired in 2015. Just amazing time. But I think every veteran sees a need for something more once they've transitioned to the veteran or civilian side. And of course, that's not everybody, but I think that sure affects many, many individuals that just can't find their place, maybe feel like they're the only one going through what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to spark up this podcast to ensure to all of you that you're not the only ones going through it. And we want to see every vet. I mean, that would be a miracle in itself, but see every veteran be blessed, be not in that trying situation, and experience something greater. So, so Marv's a 22 years.
20 years, 2 months, and a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he's been through it, been a civilian significantly longer than I. So, but anyway, that's kind of where we find ourselves. And you were overseas quite a bit too during these holiday seasons, weren't you?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. Just a step off point. I left for Vietnam on the 26th of December, 1967. I mean, I was blessed to have Christmas Day at home, but then it really got quick. I mean, the pace really quickened, and activity level went up dramatically. Remember leaving Grand Forks in an old, for lack of a better term, Goonie bird, old DC-3 North Central. It was so cold. I don't know if I've ever been in a colder airplane, but got out to the LA area, San Bernardino area, and got on a Flying Tiger aircraft to Vietnam. And in those times, of course, it's 707. That was quite a nice ride, but they didn't have the range, so we stopped in Anchorage and then in Tokyo and then into Da Nang. And, it was quite a different place. And we've talked about Vietnam and what that all means to different people, because truly, John, the experience is different to everyone depending on their background, depending on their life experiences. So for me, stepping back to Christmas past and the Christmases we enjoyed in northern Minnesota, very traditional Christmases. This is the stuff of Norman Rockwell paintings, I mean, the images that you see and the things you can conjure up looking at these images. And some of your favorite memories will rise to the surface, some of the mischief you got into, some of the pranks you pulled at Christmas time. Those things always, like me, I'd always try to sneak into mom and dad's clothes closet because that's where they hid the presents.
Oh, yeah.
So go in
Wrapped
there.
or unwrapped?
Well, if you found something unwrapped, you swore yourself to secrecy. And in those times, and maybe there's some of the veterans out there that recall this stuff, for us who were of the Norwegian heritage, Scandinavian heritage, of course, the folks spoke Norwegian at Christmas time because they didn't want kids to understand what they were saying,
Yeah.
And that's so contrary in a way, because aren't we really trying to pass on our heritage and lineage and our customs and traditions to the children? But for some reason or other, they didn't want me to know Norse.
Yeah.
So I think back, to Christmases past and fond memories. I mean, great memories. Those were tougher times. A gallon of gas didn't cost a lot of money, but we didn't have a lot of money.
Sure. Absolutely.
And so to have relatives come from, say, Grand Forks all the way out to the farm, and it seemed like we generally hosted at Christmas time because we had dairy cattle and
a little more room, maybe.
Dad couldn't be gone too long at a time, just like on your farm, you had dairy cattle. So these things were kind of a common thread that kept us close to home, and others would come and visit, and we'd have such a time. Oh, great time. I distinctly remember my first real experience with Santa Claus. I was just a young kid. I mean, I was maybe 7, 6, I don't know. And my cousin Wilmer visited the farm along with his wife. And of course, my Aunt Jay and her husband Walter, and everybody was visiting. So I wasn't paying a lot of attention. And all of a sudden I hear these jingle bells and this ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Of course, it's like 15 below zero and the windows are all frosted you can't see. And
So a
Dad runs
typical
over.
Christmas
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Dad runs over to the window and scrapes it off. Says, "Look, there's Santa." And sure enough, there was Santa.
Oh boy.
He had the suit on and he was ringing the jingle bells, and he dashed off out behind the house where the outhouse was, oddly enough, and that's the last I saw of him.
Oh my
I
goodness.
thought, my gosh, Santa came to the
You
Santa.
got to see him.
I got to see him,
Yeah.
and yeah, special memories. And then, as I kind of mentioned, the church programs. You know,
Oh yeah.
kids always put on the
Absolutely.
skits. And do you remember, as we'd say, do you remember going to town and seeing Santa at the theater and then
Yeah.
give us bags of peanuts and candy? Right? Wasn't that something?
Well, the theater was no longer there when in
Oh,
my upcoming days, but I don't know when they closed that.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
or the theater in Ada.
yeah, your
In
field.
Ada.
Yeah.
Okay. Because didn't they have one in Shelley too?
Sure, they had one in Shelley, and it
Right across from the park.
used to be a basketball court in there, and
Oh,
it was quite a theater. My grandmother worked there, and they put on Christmas gatherings for the children there. And you can ask your dad about this, but we'd get these paper sacks, and they were filled with peanuts and
yeah.
Christmas hard candy and an apple or an orange
Yes.
and all of that stuff. So yeah, Christmases of the past, they're filled with tradition and
Oh my.
pleasant memories. And I'm sure you have a bunch of them yourself.
Potato dumplings and ham at grandma's house. Let me tell
Boy,
you. Or kumpa for you,
Oompa.
or kumla for you Scandinavians, but delicious, delicious. And then, we'd go out to, I think it was called Creamery Hill, a nice spot to catch sleds down and plummet yourself. And as a kid, you'd wear yourself out because when kids used to go outside, we'd go out and pull sleds and half the day. And by the time you're done, you'll sleep pretty good.
Yeah, buddy.
That time frame. So, it was wonderful. And I don't remember a non-white Christmas time.
Snow always. I mean,
Always.
I don't remember
Always.
the ground not being covered with the white fluffy stuff and colder than blue blazes.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
seemed.
Yeah. I was just back up in Minnesota just for a couple days, and there was I'll say no snow, but
Wow.
next to no snow until I believe it was Saturday night.
Wow.
Or maybe it was Sunday, but it decided to bless us with about 2 inches or so
Okay.
where we were at 2-3 inches, which was wonderful for me. And now I hear they got blasted a little bit. I don't know if it was more wind than snow, but those were the wonderful times that I remember. I remember back in 1978, maybe, or 79, late 70s. Now it was about minus 90.
Wind chill.
And that's a little brisk. That was with wind chill. It had to have been.
That's
But
fresh.
just, you don't go outside unless you have a death wish.
Oh,
So,
man.
or you have to milk cows. So,
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, it was something else, but it was a precious time. It was a time to gather around friends and family and loved ones, and it was special. So
Yeah.
hopefully everyone this year has someone that they can talk to, someone they can cling to, something special. And not only should it be this year, as we as Christians, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
That's what we celebrate.
Mhm.
And again, the love, the joy, and the peace that he can give into our life,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
freedom, that liberty. So translating it to the civilian sector, to the human sector. Yeah, we want to share that love and joy and peace with everybody around us.
That's probably one of the great battles, as a I'll just say kind of a naive young airman,
Yeah.
And you and I and others from Minnesota, northern Minnesota, we have those things in common, and those are our traditions. But there are young men and women from all across our country who have their own traditions, their own experiences, and their own value sets that
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
Christmas, you know,
Yes.
at the holiday time. And then some of us became, as I call, broken toys. Along the way, we went,
Yeah.
served, and did what we were told, and we did our best. And um, it just happens that things got kind of shattered, you know. And I will tell you that the Christmas that I left, 1967, that was a kind of a bittersweet time at home. I mean, it was great to be home and celebrate with friends and relatives and everything. And it was tough to leave too. You know, the morning of the 26th at like 0600 in the morning.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Anyway, coming back was much different, much different. In 1 year, in one calendar year, from December 67 to December 68, this nation underwent a transition
Mm.
that probably is unequaled in recent memory, where we went from some animosity and some, just general ill feelings about Vietnam to outrage and riots
Yeah,
and all of the things that happened.
right.
The murder of Dr. King, Bobby Kennedy, um, other horrible things that happened in 68 Kent State. I mean,
Mhm.
all kinds of hideous things. And unfortunately, even Walter Cronkite kind of put it on GIs, you know,
Mm.
and that it was our fault and this nasty war. So when we came home, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but when we came home, we came home to something quite different, and in my opinion, foreign to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how I felt about that, but it didn't take long to understand that we weren't really welcome to come home. I mean, that was my experience.
Now, Marv, what did you see? So, Christmas time frame
Yeah,
of 67.
yeah,
So you were finished with your tech training. You
yeah,
go home on leave
yeah.
and then you deploy.
Right. I
So you
was.
didn't even make it to a first base yet. That was
Oh,
your first
I
base.
had no. I had a first base.
Oh, you did.
I went to Williamsfield, Arizona, and trained in on T-38s and F-5s.
Trained
And
though.
yeah, I was training. I was permanent party. I
Oh,
was
you were. Okay.
permanent party there, but I saw the handwriting on the wall. You know, just looking around and talking to friends. They were ramping up Vietnam big time, big time.
Oh,
And some guys were getting assignments, and they're like, "I don't want to go there. Jay, I don't want to do that." And they were going to some places I never even heard of.
wow.
But well, I'm going to try to take the bull by the horns here, and I'm gonna ask some questions, and I'm going to find out if there's a pipeline where I can kind of pick and choose my way
Yeah.
into something that I might enjoy. And I was fascinated with the F-4 Phantom aircraft, just fascinated with it. It was new. It was, relatively new in the inventory and do a lot of weird things. I mean, it was good. I wanted to work on it.
Yeah.
So I did some checking around, and the guy at the orderly room helped me a little bit and said, "Well, I think we can probably do something." And I volunteered, and sure enough, I got orders to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base to go
Oh,
to F-4 training,
yeah.
and did that. And then I went on leave, went home for Christmas, and then deployed
Okay.
to Da Nang, which, unbeknownst to me, was Rocket City.
Sure. Sure.
I had no idea. I had this thing in my mind. I didn't want to go to Tan Son Nhut because that was Saigon, and there was a lot of fighting down there. And good grief, who'd want to be there? And then I go to Rocket City.
Then you go.
Stupid,
So you go through your training in
Yep.
67 and then enjoy Christmas. What was your feeling, I guess, during that Christmas of 67? Was it more of a, oh my, I'm going over to Vietnam
Nope.
the day after Christmas? Were
Nope.
you able to enjoy it? Or was it just another TDY or deployment that you had coming up?
It was great because I graduated in 66, right? So in 67, some of those cats and dogs were still around. They hadn't strayed too far from the tree.
Sure, sure.
So some of my old high school running buddies were still there. and working, some going to college in, UND, whatever, Crookston, they're around. And so I was able to reconnect with some of them. And of course, good times in high school and
Right.
reminiscing and, maybe have a cold beer or two and laugh it up. And it was fun. And plus I saw most all of my relatives when I was home. We had gatherings and get-togethers. It was a lot of fun. Honestly, I did not have any reservation or apprehension about going to Vietnam. Didn't. No. I knew I was going there to work on F4s, and that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
Work on that big jet. And it is, for a fighter jet, it's huge.
It is big. It is big. So then you get on that plane, you fly overseas, and you get feet on ground, boots on ground.
Yeah.
And you're like, what did I get into? Or wasn't it an instantaneous thing that may have come over?
Well, being a Minnesota farm kid, and like I said, kind of naive about some things. I get off the jet along with everybody else. First thing I noticed was the odor. Okay. It's different. I mean, there is a distinct smell that is quite different than anything I've ever encountered. That caught me right away. A lot of humidity.
What was that smell? Was it just a combination of nature to fuel to aircraft to whatever? What do you think that smell was? Napalm in the distance, maybe? I don't know.
It was a combination, I think, looking back on it, and it's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. I think it was a combination of nature, open sewage, type thing. And of course, jet fuel, and other associated aromas that go with war. I don't know about napalm. I think there was probably, unbeknownst to us, there's probably some body bags nearby.
Sure.
But it was a different thing. It was like opening the door to, what is this?
Right.
So yeah, it got your attention. And I distinctly remember we got rounded up and got on this little gunfighter trolley thing, whatever, and they took us to the compound to check in and get our paperwork started. And it was my closest thing I could say. It was like MASH.
Yeah.
It's like going to the tent, to the
Right.
order room, and I was looking around for radar, right?
Yeah.
Where's O'Reilly?
That's a great show. Yeah.
It was different, really different. And then the hooch, where you sleep, your quarters, unbelievable. Really, it really was. I mean,
for the better or worse?
Well, and I'm not complaining.
Not better, I guess. Huh?
Those poor grunts out in the bush. I mean, they had
nothing.
They had less than nothing.
No, I feel.
I had a bed to sleep on, and a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different.
No, you say grunts out there, and different services, of course, treat each other differently or treat their members differently.
Yeah.
And when I was deployed to Hungary, in fact, that was my first Christmas when I was married to 96. Oh, Lord help me. In 96 Christmas time, I deployed in October. So I wasn't even back at my home base with the wife.
I didn't understand.
And, that was a tough time being away from, newly married and being away from everything. So my Google phone is talking to me.
Yeah.
But,
my phone
but it was tough. It was challenging. We were there. The Air Force had our little community of 250, I think, and must have been about 5,000 to 7,000 Army.
Wow.
So they even briefed us, we've got our washer and dryers are good shape. Don't let non-Air Force personnel use it. And you felt, military members are military members. We're all brothers and sisters in my book. And I think one time I saw an Army individual over there washing because our washers and dryers worked.
Wow.
So everyone throws probably their boots in there and, tears up the equipment. But it was, I'm like, go ahead, use it.
Yeah.
You feel for them. You feel for them. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that was my first Christmas away from the family after being married.
Yeah, it's an experience, and I just look back on it, and it was quite a year. We can talk about some aspects of that another time, but
Yeah, sir.
Christmas wise, that was the year that changed what Christmas looks like for me, because
Sure.
the Christmas I came back to was anything but pleasant. And the same people that I had visited with the year before when I was home, my classmates,
Okay.
people I was familiar with, people I saw around town, those very same people I encountered a year later and would have absolutely nothing to do with me.
Do you think
Absolutely.
and I guess that was something I was alluding to when I first asked you about what you saw getting ready to leave,
Hmm.
and then you leave, you had your Christmas, hung out with your buddies,
Yeah,
come back just not a year later, probably.
right.
And it was a night and day difference. Is it
Absolutely.
because do you think you changed, or do you think they changed? Maybe a little of both.
Certainly a little of both, or a lot of both.
A lot of both.
Yeah, a lot of both. If I can't imagine what they saw, heard,
Yeah.
what they felt during their year of 1968. I have no idea. I only know what I saw and heard and felt and experienced.
And you were in the big boy
Changed
world
me,
too
you
for
know.
some 19-year-old,
Yeah, I was 19.
maybe.
Yeah, 19 when I got there. I didn't turn 20 until March of 68. So yeah, I was 19 when I got there. But coming back, and I say they, there's three guys I can think of specifically that I ran into when I came home in 68. A young lady I was kind of sweet on at one time. Um, Ran into her, we talked, and things were quite different, of course. Um, some people, even some adults, older adults that had been part of my life during that
Sure.
growing up years, and they were very cool, very distant toward me. It seemed like, and this is kind of odd, people I did not know treated me better than people I did know. And I've really never thought about it that way. But when I was flying home on the commercial airliner, Western Airlines in Northwest, um, the folks on Western Airlines treated me like royalty.
Hmm.
I was sitting back in coach. They were getting ready to taxi. The flight attendant came back and tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "Captain would like to speak with you."
Were you in uniform?
Yes.
Okay.
And I thought, what the sake have I done now? And I went up front, followed her up front, and she directed me to sit down in the first class seat.
Wow.
And she said, "Captain would like you to ride to Minneapolis with us in this seat."
Wow.
And I was dumbfounded,
That is the greatest return from war story I think I've heard
And I mean,
for that era.
I just, I was like, huh,
Did you
got
meet him?
nice meals, got
Sure.
uh, free cocktails,
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't old enough to have a cocktail,
Oh,
but
sure.
here they came, And so those folks, I thought, my gosh, no, my experience at the LA airport wasn't good. That's another day, another time.
California.
We'll talk about Hare Krishnas another day.
Oh boy. Oh
But
boy.
and then on Northwest, back in the day, it was a big deal to get on a 727 and fly to Grand Forks.
Sure.
That was top shelf there, and same kind of treatment. But yet, the people I knew, the people that knew me, the people that knew where I had been.
Do you think it was probably because the airlines had seen, maybe they were from overseas back to the States, they'd seen the effects that the war had played on the military members, so they gave more, where friends, family, people back home were just fed that probably same type of media propaganda they try to spread today, but they saw that and they were hooked
Mhm.
into the belief that the media was trying to present.
Well,
So,
I can only say that on Christmas Eve of 1968, on Western Airlines and Northwest Airlines, I was treated like, I mean, like royalty, like a king. I was absolutely blown away by their kindness, and I didn't expect anything like that. I didn't.
sure.
So, but then on the flip side of that, the days that I was home were not good,
No.
and eventually, I mean, I had like 2.5, 3 weeks of leave, and got home the 24th of December, and I got into a bit of an altercation right away with some former high school friends,
My goodness.
and yeah, I guess a lot of my pent up anger probably came out. And
Yeah.
so then Dad and I got in a car and headed for Phoenix, my next duty station. We did that on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
So
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's Grand Forks and East Grand Forks, right?
Sure.
Way up north. I was ready to get out of there,
Wow.
and I'm heading to Phoenix again,
So
right?
dad brought you all the way down to Arizona.
Well, we took turns driving.
Really?
He took a few days off work, and
Yeah.
we had great talk. We have some mutual friends down there, and he was, um, good. Was glad to see them again, and so then I put him on a plane and flew him back home, and then learned more about the hatred and animosity that had been generated.
Right.
So, what does that mean? That's Christmas past, kind of, for me. Um, and then here we are in 2020, and it's Christmas Eve. And this morning I talked to my son, who's deployed in the Middle East,
Yes. How's
and
Adam doing?
he's doing well.
Is
And
he good?
yeah, he was just, he just got an honor. Boy, I'll tell you what, tell you about that sometime off camera. But yeah,
Good
he
for him.
he's doing well,
Good.
and so we had a good Christmas Eve morning chat, and I'm so proud of him. And he's halfway through his deployment, and so excited about his return home. So here we are, Christmas
No.
2020, and
Yeah.
a lot of water under the bridge over 52 years, right? Because it was 52 years ago tonight that I came home.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that I want to encourage all veterans, especially combat veterans, and those who were combat support veterans who were in theater.
Right.
We have, and I've learned this kind of the hard way, and I'm only speaking about me, but I've kind of learned the hard way that I can either linger and dwell in the past over those things that happened. Not everything was horrible. I mean, there are some good times in the
Oh,
past.
sure.
I'm just talking about things that kind of changed how I view holidays. Christmas holiday for me is a tough holiday, really tough.
Yeah.
It is every year. I noticed this year it was about the 11th or 12th of December that there was kind of a little bit of a change. And of course, as you know, I'm a COVID survivor. So I was coming out of the remnants of those symptoms, and trying to regain strength and stamina. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh, guess where I am? I'm starting to, it's coming back, and you just hate it. It's coming back and you
Yeah.
can't stop it. And it's just that thing that makes its orbit. But here's the key. Over the years, I have tried, and I continue to work on it, is developing a better attitude about things. I can't undo what took place. Can't unspill milk. You
Right.
can't, you can't put the genie back in the bottle type
No,
thing.
you cannot.
No. So genie's out, the milk spilled, and now what? You deal with it, And so I try to find joy in the holidays, and I find it in the craziest places. I get real irritated at holiday time when all of these organizations go on their fundraising efforts and say, you know, so and so is poverty stricken, or this veteran is hurting, and all that. I know that. And all year long, just like you, I donate freely to these organizations and so on. But at Christmas, they put you on this guilt trip, right? That's how it feels. That's how it feels to me. You know, you get this thing in the mail. The guy sends you a calculator, a calendar, a golden nickel, and all kinds, and $1.50.
Now you feel obligated.
You know, and you get all that stuff in it. And the postage, by the way, on this thing is like $6, and they send it to you unsolicited, and you think, oh man, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
Because they're preying on our emotions, our human emotions.
Here's what I do with my emotions.
So,
This is how I find joy.
Yeah.
I love to help people that don't know I'm helping them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, so that's what I say. If I ever get to be that million, billion, trillionaire, because that'll happen. And you'd want to be that secret Santa.
Yeah, secret Santa. That's it. And
there you go.
This year I had a friend of mine help me. I said, Winston, I need your help, brother. He says, what do you got? I said, I need you to find me a family that's fallen on hard times, no fault of their own. Sky has fallen on them. I mean,
it happens.
Crazy stuff. And, you know, they're good folks. They try, and just the fates have turned on them.
Yeah.
So he goes, and a couple days later, I get a phone call. And he says, let's meet up and talk. So we did.
And who is this? Who's Winston?
My friend Winston.
PSO?
He's a buddy of mine. He's a Navy veteran.
Okay.
From here in Ponca, and just a hell of a guy, just a nice guy.
Yeah.
And so we meet up, and he says, I found somebody. I said, well, tell me her story. And I know a lot of veterans have a story like this to tell too. But she lost her daughter, a grown-up adult daughter, a couple of months ago. Ongoing illness, but it just turned on her real quick, and she passed. Then grandma, right? Because there's 3 grown-up boys.
Sure.
Give you an idea, the 11-year-old is 6'2", right?
Wow.
I mean,
11.
He is a giant of a young man.
Oh boy.
And child, right?
Yeah.
And he's got 2 older brothers that are his size or a little bigger. And here's grandma trying to feed these boys, right?
Oh yeah.
She lost her job driving bus because guess what? The kids are doing virtual learning, and there's not as many routes and miles available.
Sure.
Lost her job, so she's really struggling. I said, bingo, that's the person I want to find. He said, okay. I said, what does she need? He said, she needs meat. She needs food for these boys.
Yeah.
Good. So I take off to a local meat market, and I tell the story to the young lady behind the counter. And I said, you have like meat bundles? She said, yes. And she said, right on that chalkboard over there, we've got things printed out. So there was these white pieces of paper with various amounts of meat and selection in these bundles. And I picked one, and then that was beef, and I picked another one, that was pork, and another one was chicken. So I take these, it come to 200 and some bucks, whatever, 250, 60 bucks. And I put down these 3 pieces of paper, and I said, yeah, there's the beef and pork and chicken. And she said, okay, you pay for the beef, we'll pay for the other 2. Wow. I just about
was she the manager, or she while you're doing your thing, she went to talk to somebody?
No, she's one of the owners. She just said, we'll take these 2. So I paid her for the meat bundle. I paid my pickup date, and we delivered them on Tuesday. I didn't. Winston, my buddy, did.
Okay.
Wow. But you know, here's the thing about the attitude and changing negatives into positives was I went to the store and bought a nice box of candy, and I bought a jar of my favorite pickles. I mean, they are my favorites. You can buy them at Atwood's. I'm not plugging Atwood's, but I'm just saying these are really good dill pickles. Right. And then a couple of packets of my favorite fish batter from up at Lake of the Woods. So I put these together, wrapped them up, and I gave them to this young lady when I went and paid for the meat. And she was like, "What? What?" I said, "Thank you." I said, "You made my Christmas, you know."
Oh,
And that's the transition that I'm working on from Christmas of '68
yeah.
to Christmas of 2020,
Wow.
you know. And this attitude thing, I I'm not I'm not being preachy here or telling people how to do stuff or whatever, but honestly, I 13 years ago, let's see, it's 2020. Oh my goodness gracious, it's longer than that. Oh my goodness, 17 years ago.
Why?
Uh, when I first went to the VA, my therapist said that I was the most angry person she'd ever met,
Mm,
you know,
mm.
and I was, I guess, you know. And she honestly said, she said, "I didn't know if we were going to be able to help you, you know."
It was
And
that bold, that outright just disgruntled.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, mad at the world, mad at myself, mad at everybody. I was the only one that knew what was going on. My
Of
way or the
course,
highway.
because we're always the only ones that know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If you disagree with me, you're stupid, right?
that's right. That's right.
There's only one opinion, and it's mine, and
It's
I'll
the right one.
it's the right one. And
Yeah.
yeah, I went, yeah, all of that, John, all of it. So, so something's got to change, right?
Sure.
Something's got to change. And over the course of the last 17 years, I've been working on it a little each week, a little each day. I'm still a work in progress. I don't claim, I don't claim any victories. I don't claim any achievements in this. I just have a lot of experiences, and I'm obviously not real good at what I'm doing because I'm still having to do it 17 years later.
You know, if we could listen, and not only listen, but get to a place, call it spiritual, call it the little voice in your head, call it the voice of God, whatever you will, your
Mhm.
conscience. But if you can listen to that little voice and then do it, fulfill, and it's a process. It's, if you do what you can do, not only will you bless others, but I think you're truly blessed. I remember walking on base very first time away from home for the holidays. I was actually in basic training for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We
Oh,
graduated New
yeah,
Year's Eve.
yeah.
And
Was it Amarillo in Christmas time? Next school. Next.
so yeah. So we um the gentleman I was with, another trainee, he was 22 maybe. He was in his 20s
Yeah.
and a few years older than I. And he was saying, I cannot wait to give this and this and this and this. You know, me, I was still in a selfish mentality. What? You love giving presents? I love getting them. What,
Mhm.
what's
Mhm.
so it's not until later. I mean, I think everyone appreciates receiving a gift, but I could receive nothing. And if I have the joy of giving,
Yeah.
to know that I made someone else happy, that's a gift enough for
Oh,
me. And, as vets, we give and give for a cause,
mhm.
typically.
Sure.
And now you find yourself out as a civilian. And, if you maintain that simple little principle and give,
Mhm.
and, you'll find that blessing in giving.
Mhm.
It's incredible.
It
I love
isn't.
it.
And you can't get that in a can. You can't buy it in a
No,
box.
you cannot.
You can't go to the shelf and pick one out because that feeling is intrinsic. It's within you. And it's different for every person.
It is. It is.
Different for
Yeah.
every person. I think, today, you mentioned something at the beginning, John, about veteran suicide and the holidays are tough and all of those things that we know happen
Yeah.
this time of year. because it is depressing. I mean, today I had some last minute things I had to pick up at the store. It wasn't really shopping. It was just, pick up some salads and pick up some of this and some of that. And, I dreaded it because I'd look at the parking lots and they were packed full, absolutely packed
Oh,
full.
they're
And I was trying
insane.
to nowhere to park.
Yeah, insane.
And I'm
How full
thinking,
these are.
oh dear, I got to go in there and
Yeah.
I got to get cranberries and I got to get salads and I got to get chocolate chip cookies and why do I have to go in there? And it was a zoo. People, just frantic. And the people behind the deli counter were trying to make up all of these large trays of cold cuts and cheeses and so
Sure.
on. I guess were parties. They had like
I suppose.
12, 14, 16, I don't know how many of these big trays, and they were just scrambling. And I just patiently standing there waiting to get my salads. And I was starting to feel this thing come on that does. I don't do crowds real good, and I don't do pressure situations real good. But I'm just thinking to myself, okay, stop. You're first in line. They will get to you when they can. Stop thinking what you're thinking. You know, and so I just thought, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. And when the guy finally acknowledged that I was at his counter, I said, well, I'm really happy that I am not you today. And he said, what? I
Yeah.
said, my gosh, how do you do it?
Yeah.
He said, do what? I said, look at the stuff that you're managing right now. You got more balls in the air than a circus clown, you know? And he said, well, thank you. I said, it looks to me like you're doing an amazing job.
Wow.
He said, well, thank you. I said, could I get some salad from you? He said, sure. How much you want? I said, about 3 pounds. 2 pounds of that, a pound of that. Yes, sir. See, he was frantic, like, how am I going to keep track of all this stuff?
Absolutely.
And I was secretly frantic, standing there in line, not liking that. And I thought, no, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to give something away here and see what happens.
And he will remember that. And he'll probably remember you if you see him again.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
maybe. Who knows? But it was, how do I approach it, John?
Yeah.
How do I approach it? And it's taken many, many years, and I suspect it'll take more. That's why I want to encourage everyone that's tuning in who has these moments, who has these times happen to them where they feel like giving up, or they just can't do it and they're going to go home and kick the dog and throw water on the cat and, or worse, throw a cat in the dryer. I mean, all of the things that you think about that are negative, yeah, we do that. But for each individual, it's different. And if each individual will say, there is hope,
Yeah.
there's that light at the end of the proverbial tunnel, it is there.
There is.
And I brought this quote because I want to quote it right. And it's about attitudes. And then there's one thing I want to spin off of attitude at this time of year. A gentleman named Charles Swindoll, and I know you have read him.
Absolutely.
Quotation from Mr. Swindoll. It says, the longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude is more important than facts, more important than the past, more important than education. It's more important than money, than failures, than successes. It's more important than what other people think or say or do. And so it is with you and me. We are in charge of our attitudes. Wow.
Man.
I can't do anything about somebody else's mad, somebody else being upset. I can't do anything about that. I can't make somebody else happy. I can only be happy myself.
Absolutely.
And I can't control what other people think, say, or do, mostly because I don't want to. There was a time when I thought I wanted to, but I don't. I just want to get on with the next day. And as we move toward Christmases of the future, There's something I've been working on for years, and it's a long list, and it's hard to do because every encounter is different. And that is, how am I going to make amends to all of the people I have harmed,
Right.
whether deliberately or inadvertently or unknowingly, you know?
Yeah. And we heard things of the past, and this is a common subject, whether here or in your homes, whatever. But a lot of people are sentimental. I'm terribly sentimental. I know my father is
You're just like your dad.
incredibly sentimental. But you look at the mistakes, and Lord knows I've made too many. And we, a lot of us do. We're human. But it'd be wonderful to be able to fix those wrongs, but we can't. Of course, time machine that I know of has not been invented, though you have the conspiracy theories, but you can't go back. You can't change, but you can learn and bless that which is coming at you for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of grab the horns, if you will. So,
Yeah.
it's a process.
If we were to say that our Christmases of the past were painful, and some were certainly, and not what we necessarily wanted, or maybe just by virtue of our behaviors, it was inevitable that Christmas was going to turn out that way.
Sure.
The dark side, the influences of post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, abuses, hurts, habits, hang-ups. I mean, all of the things drive us and drive our behaviors, sometimes in a certain way that it's almost predestined.
Yeah.
That an outcome is going to take place that we really don't care for, but we can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
So looking at the past holidays, past Christmases, and what I've learned, and here we are today in 2020 having this wonderful conversation, a couple of old friends, a couple of Air Force comrades.
Indeed.
And looking to the Christmases of the future, whatever they may be, however many they are, what is it that we would hope for, and really, truly, when we think about it, why do we wait till Christmas to talk about blessings and making amends and doing things differently, doing things better, watching out for each other more, being more compassionate, more caring, more observant, and more supportive? Gosh, just think what we could change. I mean, we look around our world today, John, and we see all of these things that are going on. No politics entering this conversation at all, but I'm just saying, if we look at folks who are supposed to help chart our course as a nation, and we see I think mayhem comes to mind. That's the word I think of.
It's a little crazy. It is.
Chaos, and the bickering and the division and the bitterness. That isn't what we're about. That isn't what America is about. Veterans, as you said, we raised our hand. We said, I do. I do solemnly swear to defend the Constitution of the United States and the orders from those appointed over me. I will do this. And, it's that sense of service before self, that sense of integrity that each person carries with him, each veteran carries with them. And believe me, there are veterans out there who don't really believe they have all of these redeeming qualities. But every veteran who's ever served has something inside of them, something there, calls to them in their darkest hour that says, you are worthy.
Absolutely.
You are
each and every one, every individual. But sometimes we're made to feel that we're not worthy, or that we don't have that special something.
Right.
And then
right?
the worst happens. I pulled up here, Marv. If there's a vet that goes through difficult times, not only during this season, though this season can be challenging, but anytime the veteran crisis line is 1-800-273-8255, and you press 1. So there's always someone to talk to, as
Always.
opposed to
Always.
worst case scenario. So
Never give up.
never give up.
Never give up. This battle with COVID, not to walk back to that, but I got to share a story. My sweetie and I were really careful, and just one little slip up. One time we let our guard down, boom, came and got us both,
Mm.
And she had a milder case than I did. And my first 5 days, 5.5, 6 days were tough. And as I wrote in the Christmas letter to my friends and family members, there were times when I did not know what the next sunset or the next sunrise would bring in those days. It was really scary. And I thought back to a comparative of a time in my life where I felt pretty lost and alone, where I thought the way out was to end it all. Yeah, I mean, I had that day, I had that night.
Sure.
Dark place, empty place. But here's the deal. Even in the toughest times, there is worthiness and helpfulness and goodness in every human being.
Yeah.
Every human being.
Absolutely.
So what do? We reach for it, we find it, we cultivate it, we make it grow, and we harvest it and we give it to somebody else. You just start the motion, you start the train, and you don't keep this, you give it away. And so for every veteran or veteran's family member who's out there hurting today, tonight, Christmas time, never give up.
Never.
3 things to do. If you do these 3 things, someone will find you.
Yeah.
You will find someone. Do these 3 things. Number 1, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Walk the walk on the road you are familiar with. Stay in your lane. Number 2, keep your head down.
So just to express, I think, a little more, stay in your lane, do what you're doing. So many people try to change dramatically, and change is not bad. It's good. But some people think, well, maybe I need to change to make certain things happen. If you do, you do, but don't feel it's an absolute, in my interpretation. But that's good. Stay in your lane. Keep doing what you.
Stay in your lane. You can overdecorate a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
The bottom line is it's the
Yeah.
tree. Silly. It's the tree.
Sure.
You put too much ornaments on it, right? Keep it fairly simple. Stay in your lane. Next thing, keep your head down. Keep your head down. And I say this not to put your head down as if you're discouraged. Keep your head down as if you're going into the wind. As brother and sister, you are.
Yeah.
You're going into a evil,
But
wicked.
you're trucking ahead.
Keep your head down and keep on going in your lane. And the final thing I offer them, never give up.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Just keep going. Because sooner or later, if you stay in your lane, and like you said, John, don't overdo it, don't overcook it. Just stay in your lane, keep your head down, keep focused, and just keep going. Somebody's going to find you, or you're going to find somebody. And when that happens, please don't be afraid to tell them your story, because you are not alone. And I will guarantee you, I believe I could promise this. Should you encounter another veteran who's been on that road, they will help you. They will help
100%.
to understand as best you can what has happened to you.
Yeah.
What has happened to you. because ultimately that's what it's all about. It's not about what happened to them or another person. It's about what happened to that particular individual.
Right. No,
You know,
that's great.
we all
That's
have our own
great stuff.
story. All have our own story.
So, well, good. Marv, thank you so much. I know you're on a time crunch, and
Yeah, I got to go open presents.
Yeah,
Somebody give me some presents.
there are priorities. Does it have food?
Yeah, we're going to have just a kind of a quiet Christmas Eve dinner.
Yeah.
Make a few phone calls, sit around the tree a little bit, reminisce. I'm going to think a lot about some of the joyous Christmases past,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to give thanks for this one in 2020.
Yes.
Big thanks.
We're here. We're still moving forward,
Yeah.
and doing great things. So,
thanks to Operation Purpose, John. Thanks to you for
thank you
making this platform available. And once again, we just have a good chat, don't we?
I think so. I love and appreciate you, and anyone listening out there. We love you and appreciate you. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, shoot me a message on facebook.com/Operation Purpose. Shoot me a message, and we can chit chat. If I don't know an answer, I'll find it.
Yeah,
so
we can find lots of people with answers.
We can find a lot of people. Yeah. But be encouraged, one and all, of this new year to come, greater things happening. Be encouraged instead of discouraged, because that can destroy a lot. So and we don't want that, especially
there's essentially a dear friend of mine who's passed on now. He was my commander on one occasion and my director of operations on another, Colonel Richard L. Mackey. Rest in peace, sir. He told me one day, he said, Sandy, he said, there's three kinds of people in this world. He said, you know what kind they are? I said, no, sir. He said, there are people that make things happen. There are people that watch things happen. And there are people that wonder what happened.
Yeah.
He said, which one are you? 2021 calls us all to make things happen.
Yeah.
Because we've been watching things happen and been wondering what happened for the past year. Now it's our turn. It's our turn.
2021 definitely needs to be a new year to make things happen.
Yes, sir.
And,
yes, sir.
Exciting stuff.
Appreciate you, John.
So, Marv, I appreciate you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and your family. Merry Christmas to all the veterans worldwide, those serving in faraway places tonight. Many, many, many miles from loved ones and their customary comfortable surroundings. We love you all
very much.
Think of you. And thank you for your service, each and every one of you. And thank you to all of you who have served. Without you, none of this works. God bless everyone, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. God bless you. Merry Christmas.
All right, buddy.
And, I wish you all the best.
Hey, so long. See you next time.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
All right. There we go.
That went pretty well.
I think so. So, I don't know.
Put it in the can, bud. Put it in the can.
It's going in the can. I think I'm still recording, but I'll delete it.
Good. We can have fun with that too.
So anyway, no, it's great stuff. So you and Pat are just Pat, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I always ask that, but
Miss Pat.
He's coming over and
yeah, we're just gonna have a traditional quiet Christmas. Tomorrow her mother comes over, so we'll have Christmas dinner, and then I'm heading to Fort Worth to see Heather and her family.
Oh boy, that's right. How are they adjusting the Fort Worth area?
Love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
It is a great little area. It really is.
Yeah. They like the community. They live on the north end up in Tarrant County, not far off I-35W.
Gosh.
And so a lot of shopping opportunities, a lot of recreation opportunities, and not far from Heather's work. She does work outside the home. Andrew still does telecommuting for Lockheed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. So.
All right, buddy.
All right. Well, I got to hit the mall, I think, before 6. I don't know.
I got to go clean up and get rolling here.
Yeah. Well, you do you, and you have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
we'll
I love it.
Chat soon.
Take care of yourself.
All right.
Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Operation Purpose with John C. Hansen. Thank you for listening to the show. We hope you've gotten some useful information, and we're proud to have you as a member of the family. Till next time, reach out to us on social media. This is Operation Purpose. Signing off.